Hi, Abraham. Hi.
We are.
Yes, I know. I feel high too now. I listened to your recordings for, I think, a decade, and I've been on one of your cruises, and you feel through the voice of Esther like a dear friend to me.
You feel the resonance of your own inner being through the things you hear.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And it feels like being in alignment, it feels like a muscle that gets stronger, like
That's a good analogy.
Gets
easier
like
and easier to
an
hold your...
alignment condition. Even when I get out of alignment, without realizing it, something appears that I feel again in alignment, and that feels so great. It feels like trust, confidence.
And just like training a muscle, it takes some practice, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Yes. And I enjoy it. When I look back, I enjoy the ride, and I'm eager for more. You know,
Perfect state of being.
It is. It is. And now, sometimes I think, wow, I feel sometimes a little bit modest, like I'm getting used the way it goes. Like I listen once in a while to you, almost 4 times a week, I think. And I just allow the good feelings. And I think I could be even a little bit more bold in my desire, yeah?
Here's the thing. We understand what you're getting at, because sometimes when we ask people what they desire or what they want, they have become accustomed to that edge of wanting something that they don't have, and that slight discomfort, or sometimes great discomfort, of not being lined up with it, they become accustomed to. And when they are doing a better job of aligning with what they want, then that tension subsides, and then sometimes they worry, because humans have taught one another that suffering and sacrifice are part of the reason for good results, while they are not. They are indications of you holding it apart from you. So finding the balance in that is a really important thing. What you're bringing about here in this discussion is, how do I know? So when I know what I don't want, that's uncomfortable, and then I know what I do want, and that's still uncomfortable, because what I don't want has given birth to what I do want. And then, as you have described yourself, and we acknowledge that, as you become more of a vibrational match to the new desire, the new request, then what happens is, from your human perspective, for example, people will say, I'm so accustomed to being the squeaky wheel that got the results. In other words, if I complained, I got results. If I complained to my parents, I got results. And I'm afraid if I'm acknowledging how everything is good, then no one will give up the goods. And we say, maybe humans are wanting to train you into submission and sacrifice and serving them, but source energy and the way the universe works is, the better you feel, the more you are in vibrational alignment with what you want. So then the question is, how do I know? Is a feeling of satisfaction an aligned state of being, would you say?
Yeah.
And is a feeling of passion and exhilaration a state of alignment?
Yes,
and
it is.
Is a state of exhilaration and passion an indication of even more momentum while in a state of alignment?
Yeah, it's like a quantum leap.
Well, not so much a quantum leap, it's more. In either case, there's little resistance, but the difference between a feeling of satisfaction and a feeling of real enthusiasm is that there's more momentum in the energy stream. And so what your work always is, especially at the point where you are, where you're able to recognize whether you're in alignment, whether you're letting it in or not, whether you're in the receptive mode or whether you're in a little bit of resistance mode. When you know that you're in the receptive mode, then more attention to the subject will cause the energy to move faster, and you will feel more and more exhilaration about that. Because otherwise, you were describing something that sounds a little bit like complacency. And you see, here's the thing. The way it is all set up, and what your inner being knows about you, and the components that you've sifted and sorted and put into the vortex are such that it is not even logical for you to be in any state of complacency for any amount of time. And if you are feeling sort of complacent about it, then that means always the same thing. You're introducing more often more resistance to the equation than you are aware of. Because if it were not for the introduction or the offering of thoughts that are resistant in nature, then that feeling of satisfaction would build into more and 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 more often feelings of passion and enthusiasm and eagerness, you say. Is that helpful to you?
Yeah, it is.
And so then what?
It's like, because what you said, I can imagine of those moments that I was really enthusiastic, and then things developed and showed up. I should allow those moments, to give time also for those moments. That's how I feel it right now, that I still can shoot in my own foot and realize it, and then think, oh, I did, okay, I come back.
Here's what's going on all the time.
Yeah.
So your point of attraction from your human perspective is about the thoughts that you continue to think. That's what beliefs are. A belief is just a thought that you continue to think. And there are muscle responses in beliefs, both wanted and unwanted. You've picked up things along your physical trail that aren't serving you. And you have muscle memory about some of those too. So that leads us to the conversation about the flow from past into what you call your physical now, into what you want to call your future now, or what we want to call now. Because whatever you're focused upon is activating the vibration now. So it's affecting your point of attraction. Now, the thing that we so want to speak in a way that you all can hear it and really receive it and know it is that what you want is known by your inner being and is being gathered at a velocity, at a frequency, at a pace, at a certainty that you can relax and know that it is a done deal. So your work, now we're going to offer you a phrase here, and this is a key phrase. As you capture it for yourself, this is going to make the distinction that you are asking for and that a lot of you are asking for. Hear this phrase: the awesome power of non-resisted thought. Meaning, you're hooked up with source energy who's focused on you and what you want and what you've already become, and it is happening. The awesome power of non-resisted thought. And when you hang around in that frequency on a really regular basis, people are watching you in amazement about what's going on in your life. But now we want to change one word in that. This is the distinction that we're asking. The awesome pleasure of non-resisted thought. Now think about that, because when you're thinking about the power of non-resisted thought, what it does to most of you is it causes you to stand in your now, harness your power, and then point it at things that are wrong to make them better. And when you do that, that's when you introduce resistance into the equation, and that's when you're not in the receiving mode, and that's why it remains sort of limping along a little bit, you see. But when you change that one perspective so that you're not looking for the power to change something, because you understand you already changed it, you did step one and launched rockets, and source energy already lined up with what you asked for, so the change has already been made. So the awesome power has already happened. Now you're lining up with that non-resistant thought by simply reaching for the pleasure. The pleasure. Now sometimes pleasure sounds like sitting down and doing nothing. Sometimes pleasure feels more like getting out into the open air and doing something. So when you are looking for the most pleasurable thing that you can experience, the most pleasurable thought, the most pleasurable focus, then what begins to happen is you are more steady in your vibrational frequency. That's what that practicing of that muscle is. You're steadier in your frequency so that more of what you're wanting is flowing to you more of the time. Yes?
Yes, yes.
You feel the distinction?
I do, yes.
Just be playful about all of this. There's nothing serious going on. In other words, you've done all the work. That's the thing that most don't understand. If you could see in your vortices the way we do, There's stuff there that would keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. You've sifted and sorted. You have evolved. It's time for you to cash in your vibrational chips. It's time for you to practice the pleasure of thought. So what that means is, because most people are responding to the environment around them, most people are having knee-jerk responses to world events or local events, or even to something that somebody just said. Sometimes it feels like somebody pokes you in the eye. They're well-meaning usually, but sometimes it feels like that. And so rather than being a responder or someone who is having a knee-jerk response to conditions, what you really want to do is get out ahead of it. Get the momentum going, the momentum that is positive, good feeling, get it going before you encounter the resistant moments. And when you do that, think about something that's moving fast and something getting in the way of it. It becomes irrelevant. The thing that gets in the way, you can just mow it over with your speed, you see. But if you're just lumbering along, then every little thing that sort of shows up stops you and you stumble over it. And so it's a matter of getting out ahead of it with your momentum.